Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, Anna. How are we?
We are excellent. At this point, your followers should be very, very well adjusted energetically. I want to stress again to all of the followers that you should be focusing on an individual chakra every week. At the end of this, you can do all of them at once. But for now, this is like a beginner's guide to your chakras. And we're taking you on a vacation through the Chakra Hotel. It's an amazing resort with lots of stuff. So far, we've been in the lobby with our root chakra. We have been at the restaurant with our feeding our sacral chakra. We've been in the music room for our solar plexus, the solar plexus theater. And we've been to the spa to replenish our heart. Now, this one isn't quite as mellow as the other ones. We are in the karaoke bar for the throat chakra. Now, this is Rick's favorite chakra. And trust me, we're not going to sing like Don't Stop Believing or anything on this. So we're not going
to. We're on a journey.
We are on a journey. So, we'll figure out how to do that. But Rick, let's talk about the throat chakra a little bit. What can you tell us about the throat chakra, and why is it your favorite go-to? Like what is it that resonates with you on this one?
Well, the throat chakra is communication. It is your voice. It's for me, it's what makes me do what I do. The one thing that I'm very proud of is my ability to communicate with people, whatever is going on. My late grandparents used to say, "Boy, that he can talk." You know, has he been vaccinated with a gramophone needle? I must have come out the womb talking, because it's what I love doing. It proves as well that the power of words can influence people. You know, it's an underestimated skill. And the thing is as well, it's like a superhero's power. It can be used for good or evil, but I love it because my idea behind all of the energy work that I do is to help people. So we talk about the throat chakra in the karaoke bar. We've got the stage in the previous chakra. Now we're up here and we're going to communicate our needs and wishes. I'm still a little bit like, oh, we can't sing, can we? But I haven't got the training that you've had, but I do like to belt out a tune or two. But how it relates with me is a lot of clients come to me, and if we imagine that the throat chakra is there around my Adam's apple area, what I tend to find with clients that come to me with throat chakra issues is that there's usually a blockage just around there that sort of sits in that clavicle area. And if you look at the work that we was doing last time on the heart chakra, my thoughts always transfer to, so what is emotionally going on in the heart that we can't resonate, put to bed, deal with, that we can't orate or talk? And what tends to happen is it generates a feeling. So the amount of people that I sit with that cough, right? And again, I want to point out with this is not a substitute for medical advice. If you've got a cough, go get it checked out. We're talking about energetic coughs. And it's my experience over the years where I've been at shows reading for people that you'll sit there and you go, hello, how are you? Well, you tell me. Right. So what is it that you need to get off your chest? Nothing. Well, there's obviously something that you want to say. And this is how my approach is when I work with clients. I will tell them if I'm like taking the mickey, antagonizing them, because the response that I want is a communication. Once they open that door, then we can get in there and we can deal with whatever the body is energetically trying to give us a viewpoint on, show us in there. So the cough for me is like the key in the lock, that even though they might consciously say there's nothing wrong, subconsciously there's something there that's being brought to the surface. So I encourage them to spill their guts, you know. Aha! And how I do that is by storytelling, right? And the idea behind the story is I'm very much influenced in my work by a book called Aesop's Fables. And Aesop's Fables was they tell a story, and the moral to that story would be, and then you act on what that moral would be, and you fit it into that current circumstances. So when you talk to people about what their communication issues are, try and find something that resonates along that frequency. So, you know, what has happened to bring you to this point? So I find it fascinating that I can use my hands and achieve bugger all, and yet I can use my voice and I can move mountains without actually touching anybody. I find that one of the greatest facets that as a human being that I've got. It's the one skill set that I can turn around to you. And if you ask me to list what I'm good at, I would be writing about what I'm not so good at, but communicating with people, finding a way to get into that psyche to help remove them communication blocks is what I'm strongest at. And so this is why I'm so excited about what we're going to discuss with this.
And I think that's why you're such an ideal guide and coach for people that are trying to redirect the energetic blocks that they have. Your ability, you know, your psychic ability helps you see where those things need to be corrected, but your ability to communicate and to, I hate to say dumb it down, but, you know, dumb it down for somebody who, you know, doesn't have quite the experience and the education that we have in energetics and in the spiritual space. I think you know, you are an ideal coach for that. It's one of the things as a teacher, you know, when you meet another teacher that's so gifted and can communicate so well, it's really great. And you know, for me, communication has never been. I've never been shy. I've never been choked out. Like you know, I always say what I need to say. So you know, this particular chakra for me feels like a wind tunnel almost energetically. Like it's just flowing. Like things are happening there. One would say maybe it's a little out of control, but you know, I think it's perfectly out of control. So the practical points on this. So our throat chakra is blue. You know, keep in mind our third eye is going to be a violet indigo. So make this a true blue, a true beautiful blue when you're visualizing it. On the karaoke bar we're walking into, there are going to be blue LED lights all over the place. I want you to see that when you walk in. Okay. It's going to be open, windy. We're going to be able to get our notes out. The resonance note for this is the note of E. And, you know, like I said, for me, it feels very much like a wind tunnel, but it's a swirling wind tunnel. My throat chakra, and I don't know if you can actually visualize this, Rick, but my throat chakra is like out to here. It's really big. The disc, the spinning ball, it's very, very large. And some of you, as you go through this program, may find that some of your chakras feel or visualize very differently. So, you know, our idea is that we want to balance them. This is one that I need to balance. We want to balance them. So work on creating a congruent size or resonance for your chakras. We're well into the system at this point. So you should be very comfortable with that, sitting and meditating and let it you know, see the movement of it, get it to really coordinate with you. One of the things that I find when I am too throaty, let's put it that way, my blue chakra will have streaks of like darkness running through it, like very dark midnight blue that runs through it. And I try and visualize that dark blue to kind of dissipate so that it is a true blue. That will make your communication very, very clear, will make your communication very, very concise rather than rambling on and on, as I sometimes tend to do. You know, I know we talked about the cough a little bit. Is there anything else that you see in people that have this chakra blocked or not functioning very well, other than, the blockage, the adjacent blockage, which I do think, if we do an advanced series on this to go with your advanced coaching, maybe we'll talk about those energy meridians going between the chakras. So stay tuned for that. Maybe we'll do that in the next month or two. But is there any other evidence that you see from individuals, like catching their breath sometimes, like, you have that stutter breath that you have like after you're crying or something like that. Are those some things that you see, some other symptoms of that, stunted chakra?
Well, is something that'll appeal to you as a tarot reader. What I also get when I get that sort of thing around people is I get swords, right? The swords, and how I interpret swords. I love swords because I'm a very blunt and direct person. I'm absolutely 100% convinced I'm on that spectrum, and I'm not making fun of this. I truthfully believe this, because sometimes, like you've just said there, my mouth runs away from me and I say things and I've said the truth, but I could have maybe just fluffed it a little bit, but I don't really know how to do that. So when people come and they want blunt, honest, analytical communication, you've come to the right person. I don't do cute and fluffy. If you want cute and fluffy, buy yourself a kitten. So what I see with people when I see their communication issues is I see the swords, because the swords are air. Air for me, in my mind, gives the story of, right, we're cutting. Yeah. We're cutting through the illusion. So what a lot of the time that I see around people is imagine a fog. Now, the second bit, now I don't know whether this will translate to abroad. There was a series of books that I used to read when I was a kid called the Mr. Men books. Right? And one of the characters in there was called Mr. Messy. Now, Mr. Messy was, if you imagine a Brillo pad or a scouring pad that has been pulled apart, he was drawn as like this messy squiggle. And it just looked like somebody had got a load of crayons and squiggled this mess on there. He was pink. But in my mind, when I see a client that's got mixed communication issues, they want something to get off the chest, I see Mr. Messy as blue. So I'm going, right, so what is it? And I'll provide the foil. Because I think that when you're doing comedy or you're communicating, the thing you need is the funny man and the straight man. And I'll play either role. So I step in with my sword of truth, and I will play whichever role that is needed to get a response from that client. And you're also working with blue, you're working around an archangel, and we'll not get too deeply into this, but you're working with Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael provides you with that space where you can communicate, protects you with his shield of protection. So I would see it as you're in a safe space, so you can take a knee while all of that flak is flying. The sword that he protects you with is the sword of truth. So when you've got those swords there, all you've got to do, it's almost like sticking a microphone under your face and go, right, say what you need to say. And I spent a lot of my last few years since I left the prison service of distancing myself from any conflict, having arguments with people, because I don't want to involve my energy. I don't want to make myself subject to that. So I tell people who I am, what I am, and where my line is drawn. So I will offer the person the opportunity to sit there and say, right, I'm not going to fluff you. I'm not going to blag you. I'm not going to tell you anything that I don't truthfully feel. I'm going to tell you the truth. And the throat chakra for me is, people always say, and this is where I hope this humor translates across, that there are three things that tell the truth: a drunk, a child, and rather larger ladies in lycra. Right, and this is where I hope my humor translates across. Right? That always tells the truth. Alongside that, so does the throat. So when people say, I didn't mean to say that, or that's not what I meant, too late. So you have to be careful with the throat chakra, that when you're communicating, that if you said the wrong thing and you have the wide open chakra, that you may well suffer from foot in mouth disease. in the sense of you can't break it back once you've said it. So I now put people, right, if you're easily offended or you get upset by my sense of humor, I've not deliberately set out to attack you. That's the way that I am. You've then got the choice whether you engage with me or not, because my role is a facilitator to help people through whatever they're going through. And this is the thing that I consistently say to people. That's all I see, tunnel vision, help. I might not be, and we talked about this off camera as well, I might be Marmite to some people. There'll be people out there that will go, I get this guy. I like his sense of humor, bit rough around the edges, but we can work with him. And there'll be other people that will think, who the hell does he think he is? Well, I know who I am. I'm this insecure, wobbly type of person that thrives on communication and having a laugh, right? I'm the best guy in the world on my best day to have in your corner when you're having an energetic wobble. When I'm having an energetic wobble, I'm a Wally. And if that doesn't translate well across, I'm sorry about that. But it's all selling your energy, communicating your needs and wishes. So for me, it's a good one as well to talk about boundaries. And this is where people come and they're open. And they're open to suggestion and change, but there's never any consequences for the words that they speak. So this is where, when I talk to people, right, I don't want to go down that route, for instance, right? That's warning number one. I don't want to go down that route. That's number two. Three, all bets are off. So as soon as you put that line in the sand there, right, this is what I stand for. There's no misinterpretation of this. I've already told you in the introduction. So I treasure the throat chakra, and I send a lot of healing energy to my own throat chakra because truthfully, this is what makes me my living. There will be people out there that don't like me, but I can't account for all of them. We've spoken at length off camera, haven't we, about the YouTube and the social media world. Not everybody's going to like you, but at least if you're honest and you tell your version of your story, nobody can be shocked by it. They can choose to either resonate with it or not. So this is where we're putting on that performance on the karaoke stage. We're singing, we're playing to the beat of our own drum. But like with everything, actions have consequences. So I'm just hoping there that I've stood there. Yes, I am a mouthpiece. I don't want to be controversial, but sometimes every now and again out of my mouth comes stupid shit. And it does, right? And I would like to stand there and apologize. And when I've made a faux pas to somebody, I have apologized. I've been an adult about it. But to turn around and say, I'll never do it again, well, that's a waste of my energy because you can be sure that something else will come out of my mouth. But it's keeping that communication, speaking your truth, even if you have to go out somewhere and just let that go, let that volley of energy. Because the one thing that we need with this chakra system is imagine like a bike chain that we're keeping it flowing. If there's the juddering, find out where that's located. What is it that's making it judder? And once we can find that, we can start making those changes. But again, I'm getting really over enthusiastic and stealing here, but I love the throat. Yes.
No, it's I think it's fantastic. And I think for you and I, and anyone that has a YouTube channel or has a consulting business like we do, a spiritual guidance business, we wouldn't be in this business if we didn't have this really robust throat chakra. So I'm always amazed, like when people say, oh, I have to give a speech and I'm so worried about it. Public speaking is like the scariest thing in the world. I'm like, I'll do it. I don't have a problem with that. Like, I'll jump right up. But the grace is that some people do have some issues with it. So seeing the windiness of it, seeing the swordiness of it, I think is really key. So let's grab our Kyle Gray, raise your vibration card, and we see this from a higher perspective, which I think is good because we're in one of the higher chakras here. And also it calls to what you said about, that communication. Being able to communicate is one thing. Being wise about that communication, how you put it forth, is another. And I think that those are important lessons as we're working through these different chakras. And that may be something that people encounter. They may do a lot of throat chakra work, and all of a sudden they're really speaking their mind. They're really telling people what they feel. And maybe you need to tamp it down a little bit. Maybe you need to be a little bit more discerning about the information that you impart. Lower the volume, right? So this is great. We are cruising along through our holiday here, and next week we are going to be moving into the third eye, which we've already talked about a little bit. I said my students, I can see it growing and shrinking as they go through their spiritual work and their lessons. So this is going to be an exciting one. So again, thank you, Rick, for this. This is so great. Any of you that want to do customized bespoke work with Rick, just follow the description in the video, or go to the end video. You'll see his emails there, mediumrick007@gmail.com. He's more than happy to set up a bespoke program. This is just giving you guys a taste of the general condition of the chakras and how you can give them a little bit of support to live your best life. Rick can actually give you a customized program for it. So it's really amazing what he does. So I highly recommend that you do that with him. You get to spend 7 weeks with him. So, you go through each one at a time, and it's all good stuff. So until then, we're going to say cheerio, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks very much.